You can't actually be in the future. You can't actually be in the past. You can only be right here. Welcome to the Connect Method Parenting Podcast, where correction is out, connection is in, and your kids want to listen to you. I'm Andy Martineau, creator of Connect Method Parenting, here to help you stay calm, confident, and connected no matter what. Yo, everybody. How are you? Can you believe 2025 is just a mere probably weeks by the time this episode drops away? My brain is not ready. I mean, 2025, what is happening? What is happening? I'm going to turn, dare I say, yes, I'll say it, 48 years old in 2025. And to be honest, that's pretty awesome. There's a part of me that's thinking, oh my gosh, it's so old. That's how old your mom is. I remember in high school asking my mom how old she felt, and she said 25. And I remember thinking, nice try, Mom. You don't look 25. You are clearly not 25. And I'm in that boat now. I think in my mind that I am much younger than I am. I would say 25. But then I remind myself my oldest is 25. So not possible. Not even possible. But that's what my brain thinks. So yes, another year is about to dawn on us. And with each passing year, I have found that humans in general, but especially parents, get excited about a new year. They think this is going to be the year where things turn around. This is going to be the year where I'm going to set some clear goals and I'm going to make progress on it. I'm going to show up differently. I'm going to be more patient. I'm going to set firm boundaries. I'm going to be compassionate. And I've never met a parent, maybe they're out there, but they don't come to me, a parent that's thinking, I'm just going to phone this year in. I'm going to kick back. I'm going to take it easy. I'm not going to do anything. I've never heard a parent say that. Now, granted, we might be exhausted. We might be tired. We might be feeling a little down. But when I dive into a good conversation with a parent, I have never heard them express that. And so I think it's a really important time of year for us as parents to plan for the future. And I specifically called this episode, Hi Future Me or Dear Future Me. I'm not sure which one I'm going to land on, something like that, where we're looking to the future and creating ahead of time what we want as parents. And this exercise that I'm going to share with you all, it's powerful. It's powerful. Now, I'm going to give you a little backstory. My kids, I don't know how long ago. It feels like a long time ago, but it was probably 5 years ago, maybe 8 years ago. They showed me this video on YouTube. They sat me down and they're all huddled around me. I still remember it was a denim-ish couch colored. It was really soft. It wasn't jean denim. But it was that bluish fabric. It was beautiful. One of my favorite couches that my brother-in-law now has, because we sold everything we owned when we moved to our little cabin in the woods. But we all sat down on it. I remember them all getting around me and saying, Mom, you've got to watch this video. It's so funny. And they pulled up YouTube and MrBeast was introduced in my life. Do you know who MrBeast is? If not, you can go to YouTube, put his name in, and you will find his channel and the fact that he has 300 plus million, maybe 355. I can't remember exact number, but somewhere in that ballpark, over 300 million subscribers. Yes, 300 million subscribers. And well, first of all, let me back up. I always find it fascinating when someone has incredible success like that. He's in the top 1%, I would guess, of YouTubers. And anytime someone's able to do that, I think, what allowed them to get to that place? I'm fascinated by it. Studied Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, some of just those great figures out there. Andrew Carnegie or Carnegie. Did you know in Scotland they say Carnegie? Yes, they do. Just a little side note. Thank you. I know. You're welcome. You're saying thank you because you learned something new today. Completely useless fact, but I thought that's curious. I thought that was interesting, and so I wanted to share it with you all. So anywho, I study successful people. I love to see what allowed them to go from where they were to where they ended up. And MrBeast, back to him, I was curious what allowed him to get there. And I don't know his whole story. I don't know if it's been written down or documented, but one thing I did find was that when he was in high school, which I believe was in 2015, which makes me feel very old. I don't know how old he is, in his 30s probably. He sat down and instead of studying for a history test, he made a series of videos to himself in the future. And it's inspired the title of this episode, Hi, Future Self, Dear Future Me. He used different ones, different variations of that, and talked to himself, visualized to himself what it was going to be like in the future for him. So at the time, when he was in high school, he had around 8,000 subscribers. So he talks about how many subscribers he's going to have, where he's going to go to college, how often he's going to be uploading to YouTube, other things like that, what he got on this history test that he, isn't studying for, and so many other things. Then Time releases them on his channel. So he records them, uploads them, and post dates them, or I don't know if that's the proper term, but schedules them. That's probably more accurate. Schedules them to be published 6 months, and then he makes a different one for 1 year and a different one for 5 years and a different one for 10 years. I believe those were the increments. And to my knowledge, all but the 10-year one has published. So I am fascinated, right, by successful people. So I go find this video and I see him talking. And then what's even more interesting is he did a review on the 6 month. I don't know if he did it for any of the others. I've only seen the review he did for the 6 month video, but he does a review of his video 6 months past. So it just released. He kind of puts on this alter ego and he does this review, and you can see the growth just in 6 months. So I'm super inspired by this. I think that's genius. I love future work. I've visualized future situations rather in my life a lot, whether it's Christmas or a vacation or our morning routine or bedtime routine. I've used visualization a lot as what would I be? Probably a 10, 11-year-old when I was doing gymnastics pretty hardcore competitively. I was taught this skill. I might have even been younger than that, but I was taught this skill by my coaches to always be visualizing the trick or the routine that I was about to do. Because in gymnastics, sometimes you're waiting in line. So when we were doing floor, we would be taking turns doing our corner tumbling passes. And so when we were waiting, we were always supposed to be visualizing. And I became really good at it. So I've carried that into my life. But what I loved about what MrBeast was doing was that he was making these videos. And so, of course, I thought, well, this is really cool. I wonder what would happen if I made a video in different increments for myself. So I've made a 6 month one, a 1 year, and a 2 year and a 5 year. I didn't do the 10 year. I don't know why. Maybe I just don't want to think about what's going to be happening in 10 years. Not that it's bad, but just I think about how different the landscape of my life will be. And it's both exciting and a little bit, what's the word? It just causes me to pause. So I'll make it, but I haven't done that one yet. And what I want to tell you all is when I made these videos, I was so emotional. I was excited. I was crying. I was grieving. I was celebrating as I thought about and talked about where I envisioned myself being in 6 months and in 1 year and in 5 years. And something clicked for me. I've just enjoyed the process of doing it. And so as it's influenced my future work, and as the new year's coming right here in just a few weeks, it's going to be here. I wanted to explain this process so that if this resonates with you and you're thinking about what kind of parent do I want to be? What do I want to create? What are the relationships going to be like? That you can do this work. So let me just say one little thing about future work in case you are concerned about this, and sometimes this comes up. Future work doesn't mean we aren't in the present. When I recommend people doing future work, sometimes people get concerned. They misunderstand me. They think that we aren't going to be present because we're going to be so focused on the future. So I want to clarify this. You can't actually be in the future. You can't actually be in the past. You can only be right here, right now. Yeah, we're just here in this future moment. So even when we're doing future self-work, you're still creating from the present moment, generating present emotions. So your future self-work isn't actually taking you out of this present moment. It's your brain using the amazing capacity it has to think about the future, to generate emotions that you can envision will come from this future event, and the actions that will result in a way that only human brains have the capacity to do. As far as we know, none of the other mammals are able to do this. And I think it's phenomenal, and we can tap into it and create such powerful things in our life. And athletes are using this all the time. I explained in gymnastics that I was doing it, but they've done studies that athletes who are spending time envisioning them going through whatever they're working on, whether it's something like gymnastics or running a race or swimming, that it makes an impact, a really big impact on their capacity to be able to perform. So us envisioning this ahead of time, really getting into the details and the nuances of it is important, because when we can emotionalize our future work, it activates something different in our brain. And that's what I've found making these videos did for me. I have written it down, and I love that, by the way. I love writing it down. But when I added the element of speaking to myself and then recording it, knowing this is something I'm going to watch down the road. I'm going to hear myself. I'm going to remember where I was when I made this. I'm going to feel the emotions coming out of me. It was a beautiful additional layer. So that's what I'm going to encourage you to do. Now, another little warning really quickly. Future work is best done when we don't think the future is going to be better than the present. Let me say that again. Does that twist your mind? Because it used to confuse me to no end. I was often thinking, when I get this thing, when I have more, let me give you some specific examples, a certain amount of money in the bank, a certain job, when my kids acted a certain way, when a friend, responded in a certain way, then I would be happy. When my husband did this kind of thing, then I would be happy. We got a bigger house. It was future focused, but my happiness, my worthiness, my feeling complete were all wrapped up in it. And I kept thinking, that's going to be better than here. And what that actually does is it creates a lot of anxiety. That does pull us out of being present. That does pull us out of being here and being focused on this moment and staying really just here, just being with our kids. When I'm thinking it's going to be better when they don't fight at bedtime. It's going to be better when they do their homework without being asked. It's going to be better when they don't say XYZ. It's actually not. It's actually not, because this moment, even when things are going wrong, is perfect and precious. And we can feel complete. We can feel whole and worthy and happy, no matter how the situations outside of us are occurring. So when you do your future work, I want you to do it from this place of, I love and accept this. And if something better happens, that would be cool. That would be great. I'll take that too. So I accept this or something better. I love where I am at now, and I love the idea of where I'm going. That kind of energy is so different. So I wanted to clarify that, because if we're chasing the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, it will never be found. I talked to a friend once who was very financially successful, and she said that she had had this aha moment after realizing that the number that she needed in her bank account to feel safe and secure was never attainable for her. It had gone from, when she didn't have any money, $1,000, and then 10, and then 100, and then 200 and 300, and it just kept climbing, and it was never enough. And then she realized, oh, it's because it's not about the money. The sufficiency, the enoughness comes from me. So when you're doing this future work, yeah, we want to create, we want to grow, we want to become better and more capable, because that's what humans like. We like to change. We like to grow. We like to progress, but not at the expense of thinking right now, life isn't good enough. So if you're confused, if you have questions, if you're not sure how to do that, you should jump into the programs that I offer into Pivot, because you're going to learn so much about how to create that for yourself. But even those who have been doing this work, I know for me, I may have mentioned this before, but we're on this really fantastic adventure that we've been creating for ourselves for years. And here we are on it. And my brain is often trying to tell me that this is better than what it was like at home, or that this should be perfect. It's really fascinating to notice our brains always trying to make us believe that it's the external things that are making us happy. It's our kids' behavior. It's the amount of money in our bank account. It's the number on the scale. It's what our friends do or don't do for us, all of those things. So keep that in mind, y'all. Keep that in mind. You're going to be a lot more successful if you are not thinking that there's something better over the rainbow, that you just realize this is great and so is that. So I really find it important to imagine and create who you want your future self to be from this place of abundance, so you have a very clear perception of what that is and who that person is going to be. So if you spend a lot of time imagining who you want to be in the future, creating that vision for yourself, you can access that wisdom on how to get there now. You'll be able to start to see the path that you need to create, that you want to walk on to become that person. And I want you to think about this. If you were 20 years older, so for me, I'm going to just say it, I'd be 67. And if my 67-year-old version of myself could come back now, I know she would say, Andy, this trip you were on with your kids is once in a lifetime. Don't let worry or stress, don't let pressures from anything get in the way of you being present with your kids. I know, because I know if I could go back to my 27-year-old self, I would say the same thing to her. Say, you have no idea how amazing these tantrums are, how much you'll miss the messes, how much you'll miss the snuggles and the bedtime, and all of the beautiful aspects of the chaotic life of toddlers. I would give almost anything to go back for a day when my kids were little. It gets me emotional just thinking about it, because there were days I didn't appreciate that. I was worried about other things or frustrated, and that's okay. We're all human. I'm not beating myself up over that. But if I could go back now, I would remind myself how precious every chaotic meltdown and messy bedroom and chaotic, trying to exit out of the house to get to the next event, to the doctor's appointment or whatever, how precious all of those are. I would remind myself of that. So as you're doing this work, go into the future and think about what your 20-year-old plus older self would be at 20 years to your age, and what that version of you would say to yourself right now as you do this work. They're going to say, this is the best moment, the best year of your life. This is like, if I could come back, this is the moment I would be back in. You want to be here. Don't try to rush through this. So imagine yourself in whatever increment you want to do your first video in, and then ask yourself questions like, what's different 6 months from now? What have I accomplished? What does it feel like to accomplish those things? What might I regret? What might I be celebrating? And I want you to spend some time in that space from that perspective. When I have done this exercise, I write ahead of time some of my thoughts, that when I'm videoing myself, I can glance down if I draw a blank and be reminded of what I want to say or what I'm thinking I want to accomplish. I don't script it out. I just write some ideas, and then it just flows. So spend some time and think about it. And for me, this exercise to think about, what do I want my life to be like in 6 months? What's going to be different? Well, my son, who's in Chile right now, is going to be home. One of them will be home. It'll be almost summer. We will have been back from our adventure for a few months. I will be launching will have launched some really incredible things with Connect Method Parenting. My second youngest daughter will have graduated from high school, not college, high school. Gosh, don't rush it too much, Andy, here. That's going to be crazy. And I have some ideas about what I want to do with my little cabin to update it. I'm going to go on walks. I'm going to be just doing a lot of things. I really got clear on it. Just so many things of what I want to create for myself. So that's what I recommend for you to do, because when you can emotionalize it, when you can feel it deep within, and for some reason for me, I don't know why, and I believe it will be the same for you, but if not, it's worth trying. Turning on that camera brought up emotions, brought up like reality for me, forced me to declare with my voice. And there's something about declaring it with our voice that's slightly different than writing. And I like doing both, but this was a different way of doing it. And it was really, really powerful. It makes me pause and get serious and ask myself, like, what do I want to focus on? And what is that going to create for me? And if I was creating that, how would I get there? And I just brainstormed. It was so fun. I think it was 8 or 10 minutes long, my 6-month one. And my 1-year one it was a little bit shorter, maybe closer to 6 to 8 minutes. For me, the way I'm going to do this moving forward is just do 6 a year and maybe 2. But I like the idea of just doing it every year. So I might just make a new one every year. It was so powerful. My advice for myself when I think about just 6 months in the future is enjoy this trip, have fun, let the emotions come in, but don't let them stop you. Don't quit sharing Connect Method parenting. Enjoy every moment with your kids. Don't be afraid of wanting things. It's okay to change your mind. Swim in that dang ocean. That was something I just, embrace the things that maybe are causing you to be a little bit worried or anxious. Go on the adventures. Don't let anything mean that something's gone wrong just because I might be feeling anxiousness, which has come up a lot over this trip, feeling anxious over, I think just the thing I've gotten really curious about it. And the thing I think I'm concluding is my body, anytime I get into a new space, a new country, new food, new culture, new language, it takes it about 2 days, I've discovered, sometimes longer, but typically I'm getting better. It's typically about 2 days now for me to go back to what I would call normal. And so for those 2 days where I'm not, I'm just noticing. I mean, my kids are kind of laughing about it now, and I am too, to be honest. It's really fascinating when we just look at the different parts of ourselves. The first day we got here, the first full day, we got here, went to bed, and then the next day I was really jet lagged. And I was mid-sleep when I heard my girls say they're going to the ocean, and I instantly got up, went and told them to only go thigh deep. And I was so just in this anxious energy, and I was speaking the words and also noticing how ridiculous they were at the same time. And so this awareness is what I would tell myself. Be aware of the anxiousness, but don't let it stop you. That's some of the stuff that's come up for me. And what I would recommend for you is take a moment, make a list of the things that truly matter to you, the things that you want to create, and then video yourself talking about them. All right? This exercise has really impacted my perspective. It's had such a huge impact on me and the decisions I'm making and how I'm experiencing my life right now. So I can't recommend it enough. Do it. Remember your future self. Say hi to that future self. Don't forget about the life you're creating for you and your kids. Take care of yourself now and in the future. All right, you guys, have an amazing day. We'll talk to you all soon. Bye. If you enjoyed listening to this podcast, come check out League, my Connect Method parenting coaching program, where we take this material and we apply it using my proven formula. Head over to cmp.works/join.